A new lawsuit in Connecticut is putting the spotlight on women's sports in high school and the threat from transgender activists. Connecticut is one of 17 states that allows male athletes that identify as female to compete against female athletes with no restrictions. On Thursday, 3 female athletes and their mothers filed suit in a federal court in Hartford. They want the state to revise its athletic rules that allow boys to compete in girls' sports.
Now, when we line up in front of our blocks and the starter calls us to get into position, we all know how the race will end. We can't win. We've lived it. We've watched it happen. We've missed out on medals and opportunities to compete.
The Connecticut Association of Schools and the State Interscholastic Athletic Conference say that the transgender policy follows a state anti-discrimination law. That law says students must be treated according to the gender by which they identify. It also says that the policy is appropriate under federal law. The ACLU says it will represent the transgender athletes in court. Alliance Defending Freedom is representing the female athletes, and attorney Christiana Holcomb joins us now with more. Christiana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about these female athletes. I understand that they are top athletes. What has it been like for them to compete against biological males?
It's been extremely difficult. Chelsea, Selena, and Alana are elite female athletes in Connecticut. They have spent much of their life training to be the absolute best in their sport in track and field, only to compete against males and to lose state championship titles, awards, medals, and even the opportunity to compete in front of college coaches. So it's been extremely demoralizing for them.
It's really fascinating, and this lawsuit really is historic. What are you hoping to gain with this lawsuit?
Well, this lawsuit is the first of its kind in the nation, and we've asked a federal court to step in and stop this unfair and unconstitutional policy. Title IX was designed to ensure that girls like Selena, Chelsea, and Alana have a level playing field and the opportunity to be champions. And so we hope to restore that fair and level playing field for them.
So the state of Connecticut has issued a statement saying that its policy is in compliance with the state's non-discrimination law and federal law. What is your response to that?
Well, federal law trumps state law regardless, and they are clearly in violation of Title IX. Title IX protects everyone on the basis of biological sex. And when you allow biological males to come in and to dominate the female sports category, it's a fundamentally unfair and unequal playing field, which is not fulfilling the purpose and promise of Title IX for these young women.
What are you ultimately hoping for with this issue? Do you see a Supreme Court ruling eventually, federal legislation?
Well, ultimately, I hope we don't have to reach the Supreme Court with this issue. I think it's pretty clear that there's a violation of Title IX here, and we hope that the district court in Connecticut will overturn the policy and ensure that female athletes are protected and continue to experience that thrill of victory on a level playing field.
You know, it's interesting because we are beginning to hear about some of the pressure on female athletes in high schools right now to stay quiet about this issue. But I am wondering if you are hearing from some of them in other states that are equally concerned, have similar stories to these athletes in Connecticut.
Absolutely. We're hearing from athletes and, frankly, women across the country who are really upset and outraged about this issue. Look, if males are allowed to dominate women's sports, we essentially have a co-ed free-for-all, and it spells the end of women's athletics as a separate category. So this is a really important national issue. It's part of a broader national conversation, and we hope to ultimately ensure that young women like Selena, Alana, and Chelsea have the opportunity to compete on a level playing field.
Christiana Holcomb with Alliance Defending Freedom, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.